Ni hao, I am Dr. Carmela S. Dizon, a director from the Angeles University Foundation in the Philippines. I will share with you the e-commerce experience in my country during the COVID-19 pandemic. First, let me thank you for the opportunity to participate in the China-ASEAN Business Environment Governance Talents Cultivation Forum through the invitation of Dr. Melody Wang, Director of International Exchange and Cooperation Office of Guizhou University Department of Finance and Economics. Life changed dramatically overnight for us in the Philippines. I remember on March 10, 2020, we were asked to go home by our university to disinfect the campus. We were told to come back on March 16, 2020, but we never did because by then the Philippine president already declared the country in state of calamity due to the coronavirus disease 2019. For several months, we were in lockdown. What is life in the Philippines when the pandemic hit us? Note that the picture on this slide was taken from a news article with the title, Philippines becomes first nation to close its financial markets due to coronavirus pandemic. Here is a picture of people in the grocery store trying to buy food items because they do not know when they will be allowed to go out again. Here is a picture of a community in lockdown. Military personnel were deployed to ensure that people stay in their houses. The presence of men in uniform sets strong message that the government is very serious in its instruction that people should stay in their homes for their own protection. The big problem we faced was that people were not prepared. Because the announcement of the lockdown was sudden, some people were not able to stock food supplies. The answer of the government on this issue was to keep the supermarkets open. However, only one member per household can go out to buy provisions for the family. On the right side is my own ID, which was issued by my city. When you leave your home, you should bring this. If not, when you pass through a checkpoint and you cannot present your ID, you will be asked to go back home. In order to provide assistance to the people, the government instructed local government units, or LGUs, to provide assistance. Depending on the community, food packs were delivered per household to make sure that everybody gets to eat. Ayuda, which is the Spanish word for help, were distributed. But this was difficult to sustain. Eventually, people had to resort to other means to make ends meet. To meet the health protocols, a lot of people resorted to e-commerce to purchase most of their needs: food, drinks, medicine, clothes, household items, etc. Schools had to hold virtual classes. Enrollment was done online and payment is done through banks. As much as possible, people were not allowed to go to schools without appointments. Thus, the use of Google Meet for synchronous classes was done in 100% of classes from basic education to graduate school. This is a screenshot of my class in comparative education. This scenario is common among private schools, colleges, and universities in my country. However, the public schools, particularly those which are run by the Department of Education, resorted to preparing modules for their pupils. Most of our marginalized pupils and students in the public schools cannot afford to go online for their classes because of internet connectivity issues. In the healthcare sector, doctors resorted to telemedicine. E-prescriptions were sent through emails and/or FB messengers, medicines were delivered to their homes, and payment was through GCash. I have personally experienced this when I needed to consult with a physician. The mechanism was very efficient. In this slide, you will find that in telemedicine, a physician talks to her patient via video conferencing in this undated photo. Hospitals across the country are utilizing telemedicine services to check patients for non-coronavirus disease 2019 cases. How did e-commerce become prevalent in my country? Since going out is very dangerous, which gives a person a lot of chances to catch the virus, the viable option is to resort to e-commerce. In the pre-pandemic Philippines, e-commerce is not yet that popular. The younger generation, millennials and Gen X, were typically those who availed this service. It's easy to understand this because the younger generation are tech savvy. It's easy for them to navigate the websites and applications in the e-commerce sector. But with the pandemic becoming a part of our lives, even the older generation had patronized this mode of ordering items. Which industries utilized e-commerce in the Philippines? First, we have the food and beverage industry. According to Business Mirror in July 2021, food and drinks deliveries increased by 30%, which is equivalent to $218 million. The key players in this business are GrabFood and foodpanda. They have partnered with restaurants and fast food chains where a client can order any item and a driver will pick up the order and deliver it to the client. You need to download an application to be able to order. Personally, I have GrabFood app on my phone. Vouchers can also be sent to someone which can be used in ordering food and drinks. This business generated employment among displaced Filipinos. Those who want to become registered riders for Grab and foodpanda should have their motorcycle and mobile phone. Second, since people do not want to go out, they also sometimes order their groceries online. The big grocery stores in the Philippines, namely SM Hypermarket and Puregold, take the lead in delivering groceries to households. Delivery fees are of course charged for these transactions. There is also an observation that the prices of goods when ordered online are given certain markups. Third, shopping is still common even during pandemic. But instead of going to big malls, most people order their personal or household item needs from Lazada or Shopee, which are the big players among e-commerce websites in the Philippines. Just like GrabFood and foodpanda, Lazada and Shopee allowed for more Filipinos to take part in this industry by serving as seller or delivery staff. There are some experiences of customers that are worth noting here. On the plus side, people find convenience in buying items online. However, it happens sometimes that what you see in the website is way better than what you will get. Sometimes too, the items are changed when the original ordered item is no longer available. But still, despite these noted concerns, people patronize Lazada and Shopee. What makes this scheme very attractive is the ease of payment. A client who orders online may resort to the following payment mechanisms depending on what the seller dictates. It could be through online banking, over-the-counter bank deposits, coins.ph, remittance centers, payment centers, GCash, which is a mobile wallet, and cash on delivery. During pandemic, the more popular mode is through online banking, GCash, and cash on delivery. It is quite obvious that for e-commerce to thrive in any country, a strong Wi-Fi connection is a must. Some areas in the Philippines still have big issues in this regard, and this partly explains why e-commerce is not flourishing there. E-commerce in the Philippines still has a long way to go in terms of resolving its downside. In this presentation, I will only focus on one, and that will be tax issues. According to one client, taxation issues for companies who purchase items from e-commerce websites may not be able to use the invoices provided. Thus, such purchases cannot be reflected as company expense since the basic requirements are not reflected. This issue must be resolved in order to push for e-commerce in the Philippines not just on individual levels, but perhaps on corporate levels. If this issue is resolved, there can be more revenues that can be earned through e-commerce. How else did Filipinos thrive in these difficult times? People sold items by advertising in their social media accounts like Facebook, and people ordered. Deliveries were arranged and payment was also done through GCash or cash on delivery. In this slide, this is an advertisement of a member of our cooperative who makes blueberry cheesecakes. In order for her to advertise her product, we allowed her and other members to advertise in our Angeles University Foundation Multipurpose Cooperative Information Board, as well as in our Facebook page. This is our little way of assisting our members grow their business. It is also heartwarming to note that a lot of people patronize small businesses so that they can thrive despite the pandemic. Indeed, the Bayanihan spirit became very evident during these difficult times. The pandemic is far from over. With this short sharing, I hope that you were able to get a glimpse of how e-commerce helped my fellow Filipinos survive this challenging period of our history. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much. Shesheni.